everyone out there, you're welcome back to my channel. I'm Halima, and if this is the first time you're watching me, I want to say a big thank you to you, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. For those that have subscribed to my channel, thank you for your waving support, and kindly please like my video, comment and share. Today's tutorial will be on how to make a half-length princess bustier top, just like the one I'm wearing. It's actually very simple and easy to cut, and it's very good when you want to make your the curve lines around your bust area very obvious. So please do sit down and enjoy this tutorial. Like you can see, the dress my mannequin too was made with a princess bustier cut, and which is very common with most dresses. Enjoy this tutorial to the end. Alright, so I have the top of my paper here. From the top of my paper, I measured out my chest line. And my chest line, to get the distance from the top to the chest line, is use the formula your bust divided by 6 plus 2 inch. I measure from my top of my paper to my bust line, which is 11. I put down the value. Then from the top of my paper to my under bust line, that's 14.5, and then to my waistline, which is what, 17. The next thing I did was to measure out my shoulder to shoulder, my shoulder length. My shoulder length is 8. That means my shoulder length is 8, and I made a mark on that point 8. I went ahead to measure out my neckline. The neckline I'll be using here will be 4 inch. 4 inch will be 4 inch by 5 by 5. So that's my neckline. My neckline is 4 inch by 5. That's the neckline I want to use for this particular outfit. So this is the neckline area. I'll be drawing my neckline here. So the next thing we need to do now is to get our shoulder drop. My shoulder drop is 1 inch. 1 inch. So from the shoulder point here, I'll go ahead and measure out 1 inch. So I'll put down a mark on this 1 inch, and I'll connect that 1 inch to the top of my neck points here. Can you see? 0.0. I'll connect it down there. So that's my shoulder drop. The next thing we need to do now is to just make it a straight line to develop the armhole. So I've been able to square it out. The next thing I did is to measure. The next thing we need to do is to measure the armhole depth. So my armhole depth is from the shoulder point to the chest line. That's from here to here, which is 8. Half of it is what? 4. You get the midpoint 4. For the front pattern, you always go in 0.75. So I'll go in 3/4 of an inch, which is 0.75, to create the front armhole curve. That's this point here, so I'll put a mark on this point. Then on the chest line, that is, I labeled it CHL. I'll go ahead and measure out my bust circumference. My bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'll put down the measurement of 10.5 exactly. I have a detailed video on how to make this, how to draft your basic block bodice pattern. I'll put the link of that video in the description section. So I've gone ahead to make my bust point measurements. So now I'm going to use my armhole curve to connect these 3 points together. So that's it there. The next thing now, for us to develop the princess bustier itself, now one of the first thing we need to do is to get the bust to bust, the bust palm, which is the nipple to nipple distance. So you need to get half the nipple to nipple distance. So go to your body and measure your own nipple, half the nipple, your own nipple to nipple distance, and divide it by 2. My own measurement is 4.2 because my nipple to nipple is 8.5 divided by 2 is 4.25. So I'm going to go ahead now and impute that measurement on the bust line and straight down to the waistline. So you see what I'm going to do together now. Let's put the nipple to nipple measurement. So I'll come to my bust line and measure out 4.25 this way. And I'll also go to the waistline and measure out 4.25. Remember, I'm just working on the half length of this dress, of this top, which is the half of the top. So I've put down the bust to bust distance. I'll put down the bust span here, which is 4.25, and I'll go ahead and draw a straight line to connect it together. Go to our armhole point and measure out our armhole distance so that we can get half the armhole distance. So I'm going to go here like this and measure out my armhole distance this way, 10.2. So I'm going to get half the armhole distance, which is 5.2. So I'll go around the tape just to get the midpoint. So that's the midpoint of the armhole. So from the midpoint of the armhole here, you draw a straight line to meet with your bust points line to your bust point mark. From the midpoint of this armhole, draw a straight line to meet with the bust point line. So let's do that together and see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put my ruler here and just go ahead and connect both points together in this direction. Can you see what I've just done? Yeah, so that's it. Then I'm going to measure out 1/2 inch on both sides like this. I'll measure out 1/2 inch this way. I'll measure out 1/2 inch this way. So on the armhole line there, go ahead and measure out 1/2 inch. So I've measured out 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. On this straight line I used to connect both the bust points and the armhole line together, I'll come on the bust point line and measure 1 inch upward. 1 inch upward, just to make sure that I create an ease along this line. I want to make sure that there's an ease along this line, so it won't be like a sharp point. So I've just gone up 1 inch and I'll connect it with a dot this way. So the next thing I'll have to do now is to go to my under bust. I'll measure out 2 inch from my under bust. That is the UB line. I'll measure out 2 inch like this. That's a 2 inch. I'll connect that 2 inch to these points. So I'm going to connect it back to the bust point this way with a straight line. Also on the waistline, I'll measure out 2 inch too, and I'll connect it to the other bust line with a straight line. So this is 2 inch. I took 2 inch on the waistline. I took 2 inch on that bust line, connected the other bust line to this bust points here, and I drew a line and this thing. The next thing we need to do now is to impute waist measurement. My waist measurement is 9, and I have taken 2 inch here. It's a space of 2 inch here. I'll measure out the distance from here to here, which is 4.2. So I have 4.2 here and I need 9, so I'll just continue from there. 4.2, I'll measure out 9, which is now my new bust measurement. So I had from here to here was 4.2. My waist is 9, so I measured out 4.2 and the leftover from the 9 and subtracted from the 9. Whatever I have left, I started with this point here. I measure out the remaining point for the waist. So if you add this one and this one, it will give you 9. On the chest line, so I have to put in my bust measurement. So I know that this is 5.5. I also need another 5" to make it 10.5 here. Sorry, 5.5, and I need 10.5 here, so I have it here. On the next thing I need to do now is to add my seam allowances at the side. I'll need 1/2" seam allowances to join this cut, because this will be a cut line to join both side of the panel, this side and this side of the Princess Bustier panel. And I'll need another 1/2 seam allowance on both sides to join the side seam. That makes it 1" on the side seam, 1" on the Princess Bustier, and that makes it 2". And then I need 1" for seam allowances, that is 3". So I'll just add 3" at the side. So I'll mark 3". I'll go to the bust line too, and I'll mark 3". And I'll go ahead and connect. So we've now created a new armhole. So that's the 1". I measure 1" from here to here. Next thing I have to do now is to curve out this point a little bit, to draw a curve along this line a little bit, just to create the bust curve, the curve along the bust line. That's the bust part is always slightly curved where the seat of the bust will be. So this is the point. I'm just gonna make it easy. So if you decide to do a round neckline, it's very easy. You can just go ahead and impute your neckline for the this is a half bodice of the Princess Bustier. So go ahead and cut it out. So I'll cut that and show you the panel of what it looks like. Top side, and this is the toe part, and this is the bust point. So we have to notch this point when we're joining. So this is what it looks like. So you cut this on a fold, just one pattern. You cut this 2 pattern. The 2" that was here has been removed. I've gone ahead to make my back bodice. This is my back bodice, and as you all know, just as I said, I'll put the link to how to draft your basic block bodice pattern in the description section, so you can follow that pattern to that video to draft your own back bodice pattern. So this is my back bodice pattern. The only thing here now is that you can sew your back bodice as a dart like this, or you can add a princess seam at the back just by creating a curve along the back line. So if you don't want to create a curve, you can go ahead and just sew the dart on the back, and that's it. Waistline, chest line, there's that leg. But if you want to make a princess seam at the back, just mark the midpoint here, just the way I did in the front. Go ahead and measure out the armhole distance from here. Go round and measure it out. Then get the midpoint. Let me show you. Just get the midpoint, measure out the armhole distance like this. So let's see. But remember, we have to work on the sway back at the back. So I'll just quickly do that correction on this pattern and watch my video. I'll make a video on how to remove your sway back. So, but here I'm going to work on it directly. So I'll go ahead and measure out 0.5 on the waistline, 0.5 on the waistline, 0.5 on the waistline, or 1/2" on the waistline, and then connect it straight up to the neckline point, neck shape. So just watch me when I do. So that way I've been able to work on my sway back. So I've been able to take care of the sway back. So there's no longer sway back. I've taken care of this sagging at the back points there. So this is fine. Everything is okay. So we'll go ahead and cut our pattern. We'll add the same allowance now. We need 1/2" to join both sides of the panel. That's 1". 1/2" for the side. That's 2" and 1" seam allowance. So I'll be adding 3". at both sides. The same allowance for the side because you don't want it to be tight. You really don't want it to be tight. No. You don't want it to be tight. So 1/2 inch to join both sides of the princess seam. 1/2 inch for the side, which is 1 inch plus side panel joining another 1 inch plus that's 2 inch plus seam allowance 1 inch, that's 3 inch. So we'll just bring this panel here and increase it to the armhole direction here. So that's it. So that's a 3 inch for the side there.